We're getting close to the end of what I want to do here in this series talking about abortion. But before we wrap up, I do want to address some comments that people have made to these videos. And by far the most common one is, well, this is just your opinion, right? And you don't have any right to force your opinion on other people. And specifically, this comment's been made regarding my statement that abortion is the killing of a child in the womb. Well, I think we need to do a better job of differentiating between opinion and facts. When I say that abortion is the killing of a child in the womb, I'm not expressing an opinion, I'm just stating a fact. That's what abortion is. An opinion would be something like if I said, dark chocolate is better than milk chocolate, or jazz music is overrated, right? I'm expressing an opinion about these things, and you may disagree with that opinion, and that's fine, because it's just my opinion, and who cares? But when I say abortion is the killing of a child in the womb, that's just a description of what abortion is. Now, you may use different terms to describe abortion. You may say, oh, it's terminating a pregnancy. But that's just another way of saying the same thing. What is pregnancy, right? A woman is pregnant when she conceives a child. And how do you terminate that pregnancy? Well, you do it by killing the child that's growing in her. Or you may argue with those terms even and say, well, it's not a child, it's a clump of cells. What does that mean? I'm a clump of cells. You're a clump of cells. You could describe any living organism as a clump of cells. We're highly organized, living, growing clumps of cells. But that's just very dismissive language. Or you may get more clinical and say, well, it's not a child, it's a fetus. But, fetus is just a particular term for a child at a particular stage of development. A child is a generic term. It refers to offspring. In this case, we're talking about human offspring. And fetus refers to a child at a particularly early stage of development. Just like infant, just like adolescent, these are more specific terms to describe children at different stages of development. So saying it's not a child, it's a fetus, makes about as much sense as saying it's not a child, it's an infant. It's not a child, it's an adolescent. They're all children. They're all human offspring that are growing and developing, and it doesn't make the reality that abortion means killing that child any different to couch it in different terms. And notice we only use this kind of euphemistic language when we're talking about abortion. We don't use this language in any other context. When a woman finds out she's pregnant and she's not considering abortion, she plans to have the baby, what does she say? She says, I'm having a baby right away. It doesn't matter how early the pregnancy is. She doesn't go to her husband and say, we're having a clump of cells. Or when she goes to the doctor, right? The doctor will say, oh, how are mommy and baby doing today? Let's check on baby. Let's listen to baby's heartbeat. They don't say, well, let's listen to the fetus's heartbeat. No doctor says that to a mother who is planning on keeping the child. Or even a woman who is considering an abortion, but then changes her mind. What do we say? She decided to keep her baby. So we have no problems recognizing the fact that that's a real child in the womb. That's a baby, in any context other than when we're talking about killing that child in abortion, in which case we use euphemistic language similar to when we have to have a pet put down and we take it to the vet to be put to sleep, right? We use that language to hide the fact of our discomfort, dealing with death. So we're doing the same thing when we talk about abortion. And you make a moral judgment about what abortion is, the killing of a child in the womb. And, in my case, I make the moral judgment that that is a gravely evil act. Now, that's more strong than an opinion, isn't it? It's a moral judgment that I make with my conscience based on the foundation of that fundamental human dignity and the right that we all have to life. And yes, that moral judgment is in accord with the 2,000-year-old judgment of the Catholic Church. And up until about 50 years ago, every Christian body everywhere, as well as most rational people of goodwill, that's the moral judgment that we make. Now, you may have a different moral judgment. You may argue, you're free to make the argument that killing a child in the womb is not morally evil, that killing a child in the womb is sometimes justified, that killing a child in the womb maybe even is a fundamental human right that we have. You're free to make that argument. But when you do that, you need to make that argument that killing a child in the womb is somehow okay, because that's what abortion is. You can't sidestep the issue by couching it in euphemistic terms and then telling anyone else who disagrees with you and points out the reality of abortion that, oh, that's just your opinion.